This is so relatable. We're moving along, doing our own thing, minding our own business, trying to live our best ageless lives. When something happens, suddenly something happens, disturbing our groove, forcing us to pivot. We're talking journeys on the show today, specifically journeys of women going through significant life changes. This may have happened to you or perhaps to someone you know, but thankfully, there are ways to move through it and to honor your feelings. I can't wait for you to meet our guest on today's show. But first, a break. But not to worry, we'll be back in a flash, a hot flash. Welcome back. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Ageless Glamour Girls Podcast, where we talk all things aging on this beautiful, oftentimes challenging, but invigorating and liberating ageless aging journey. And besides politics, nothing is off limits. I'm your host, Marquita Curtis-Haynes. I'm CEO and founder of the lifestyle brand Ageless Glamour Girls, which celebrates, embraces, empowers, motivates, and entertains women age 50. We're so glad you're here. Today's guest walks the walk and talks the talk. She's been through it, and now she wants to help others. And she's already been on this journey. She's already helping, but she's expanding, and she wants to help even more women because she has so much to share. You know, those women who are going through similar transitions, and it's all so relatable. It really is. So she's Dr. Pamela Jackson-Smith. Dr. Pam, as we call her, or as everyone calls her, is a certified life purpose coach. I like that, life purpose coach. She's founder and owner of Jacksmith Coaching and Consulting. Welcome to the show, Dr. Pam.
Thank you so much, Marquita. I'm so happy to be here.
We're glad that you're here. So tell us about I was looking at your website. You do a lot, but I know you focus in on some items, which is wonderful. So tell us about your business.
Okay. Well, my business is coaching, and I do some consulting, and I'm a speaker. And most recently, I've become an author. And what I do, I work with women to help them overcome all of the obstacles of loss. And so that means I'm working with widows as well as retirees. I am both of those. Mm-hmm. I became a widow 5 years ago, and I retired as an educator 4 years ago. And so I'm helping women like me who have gotten to a point in life where you're trying to figure out what's next. What do I do next? You know, I've had a husband and we had a great life. We had the house and the kids, and now my husband's no longer here. I'm no longer a wife. So who am I? You know, and when you have a really good relationship like I had with my husband, you become one. And so I've listened to a lot of speakers and preachers talking about in a marriage relationship, you're one. You're not two people. It's not 50-50. You're one. And when my husband passed, I was trying to figure out, well, what am I now? Am I a half, or who am I? Wow. And I started out trying to become whole again so that I could be one again. And as I went through my journey and I overcame a lot of the obstacles, I really wanted to help other women to overcome it because it was difficult, you know, and it requires some hand holding. You need a support system. You need somebody who can tell you how to walk the walk because it's new. And so that's what I started doing. So I started coaching women, mostly over 50, helping them to recreate a purpose for their lives and also to renew their identity. Because when you go from wife to widow, that's a very different thing from being a wife.
Mm.
And so I've helped women to figure out how can I now walk as a whole person, a whole woman in my widowhood.
Wow.
And I've also done that with retirees
Mm-hmm.
who have had a career and been successful. They have gained notoriety as a nurse, a educator, business person, and now they're retired and they have to rebuild their whole social system.
Mm.
And
Mm.
so making friends when you're 5 years old, you go on the playground with your mom
Right.
and you run up to a new kid.
Mhm.
And when you go home at night, you start talking about your best friend. I now have a
Exactly.
new best friend.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're 65,
Mm-hmm.
making friends again is difficult.
It really can be.
Yes, I
Mm-hmm.
can
Mm-hmm.
help you with that.
Okay. All right. And that's why, some women, they may retire and then they do other things. They go into other things because it's like, you
Yes.
think about it. Some of my closest friends I met on the job,
Yes.
when I was younger, but
Yes.
yeah. So you make a great point. That's a whole nother world. Once you retire, it's like, what's next? And where's my support group?
Hmm.
Where are my people? And
Yes.
and losing a mate. Oh my gosh, that's a whole different kind of transition. And getting back to something you said earlier, with your life coach. So losing your husband and retiring, is that what prompted you to become a coach,
Yes.
purpose coach? I love that, purpose coach,
Yes.
life purpose coach. Mm-hmm.
Hmm. I have a background and I have my degrees in mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And so um, I was trying to figure out how I can best use my skill set.
Mm-hmm.
But then I also have a divine calling
Mm.
to help.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always been a helper.
Mm-hmm.
And I love helping people through problems. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm a giver. I buy people's kids school clothes, all kinds of things. And so I was trying to figure out what to do. And
Mm-hmm.
God led me into this coaching business. And I spent a lot of money preparing to
Mm-hmm.
be a coach
Mm-hmm.
and to learn all the ins and outs and what I needed to do
Mm-hmm.
and to get my business going with the licensures and all those things. And so that's how I ended up becoming a purpose coach.
Okay, tell me something. Did you retire first, or you lost your husband first?
No, I lost my husband in May of 2019.
Okay.
And in December of 2019, I was at work. I worked with homeless families in the school district, and I was walking in the parking lot with gifts for some of my homeless teenagers. I tripped
Mhm.
and fell and hit my head on an iron bench.
Mm.
And when I did that, I suffered a traumatic brain injury.
Mm.
And so in my recovery, I ended up having to have open heart surgery in September of 2020.
Okay.
And after my open heart surgery, I had started the retirement process. In Florida,
Mhm.
we have the plan, the GAP plan. So
Mhm. Mhm.
I was my first or second year in GAP. So
Mhm.
while I was in the hospital, I submitted my final paperwork
Mm.
on my
Mm.
phone, took a
Mhm.
screenshot, sent the picture in, and I retired in October of 2020
Wow. Wow.
because I just needed to focus on healing.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. I did a podcast a couple of years ago. I think it was season one. It was about broken heart syndrome.
Hmm.
And yeah, you can have broken heart syndrome from losing a mate, of course. And you can also, it was an eye opener for me because you can also develop the condition from, getting into a major argument with your sibling or your
Hmm.
kid or somebody on the street or at work. And
Hmm.
so yeah, but mainly it does impact you when you lose someone who's close to you.
Yes, and I even spoke to my cardiologist about it. I heard that podcast, and I
Oh.
also did some reading on the broken heart syndrome.
Mhm.
And I spoke with my cardiologist, and he
Mhm.
confirmed that that is true, and people can die from it.
Yeah.
And I had an experience with God after my open heart surgery, and I asked God to let me live.
Mm.
And
Wow.
so I did not want to lose my life because my
Mhm.
heart was broken. And
Mhm.
so I had to find ways to live again.
Wow.
And that's what I want to share with the other women who are going through, who have also gone through what I went through. I
Mhm.
want to help them on their journey because life is not over because you lose a spouse.
Mm.
You know, there
Mhm.
is a way to live again.
Mhm.
And I help with the fear and the guilt and all those things that we feel.
Okay. Yeah, because that was my next question. As a matter of fact, I wanted to discuss that transition to widowhood, especially later in life, and the challenges that women face. I love research, and I ran across this article in a study. It said by age 65, one in five women will experience widowhood with an
Mhm.
average age of onset at about 59 years. And then
Mhm.
for women over 65, about 13% are widowed compared to only 3% of men. And that reflects both demographic trends and the woman's longer life expectancy. So that was another one of those issues. And, and I'm sure you know, and we'll talk about this, it brings on a multitude of issues such as social isolation, financial
Yes.
burdens, health
Yes.
wise, and other issues. So what are some of the challenges that you find that women are facing who come in to talk to you?
Well, sometimes it's about identity because when you're a wife and you're a couple, you're identified as a couple.
Hmm.
And so you do things that couples do. You socialize with other couples. And
Hmm.
one of the things that I experienced was we had a couples ministry at a church that my husband and I used to attend.
Mm.
And we were looking forward to going to the couples retreat on
Hmm.
Sanibel Island.
Hmm.
And so we were preparing ourselves to go to the next one. And when it came around again, my husband had passed and
Mm.
I was no longer a couple.
Wow.
And it hit me like a ton of bricks.
Hmm.
I'm no longer a couple.
Hmm.
I'm not eligible to go to the couples retreat.
Mm.
And so we have experiences like that. Something happens and it just um, jars your memory
Hmm.
that this loss has caused me now to be different. I'm a different person now. And
Hmm.
I've heard that a lot of times when you lose your husband, the couples that you used to socialize with no longer include you.
Hmm.
And I haven't had that much of a problem, but there were friends that my husband brought into our marriage
Hmm. Hmm.
that I no longer communicate because they communicated with him.
Right,
And
right,
so
right.
that creates that feeling of social isolation.
Mm.
So you have the identity problems, you have the isolation problems. You want to socialize, but so many people don't want to come around because they don't want to. They have a fear of making you sad.
Right, and
They don't
they
know
don't know
what
what
to
to
say,
say. They don't know what to
you
say.
know?
Mhm,
Right. And so
mhm.
they are afraid that they'll say the wrong thing, so they just avoid you.
Mm,
And that can be
mm,
so painful when
mhm,
you're so used to socializing with people and talking with everybody and
mhm,
being outgoing. And
mm,
so a lot of us need some help with that to figure
mm,
out, how do I reestablish myself now? I
mm,
remember I got a call from a friend
mhm.
after my husband passed, and he said, "How does it feel to be single again?" And I said, "I'm not single, I'm a widow. But I'm single."
Right.
And because I've had that experience of a great marriage to a
Mhm.
wonderful man,
Mhm.
I prefer to be acknowledged as a widow, not,
Mhm. Yeah,
and that's
that's a
okay.
strange question too. That was a strange
Yes.
question, but
Yes.
sometimes, like I said earlier, people don't know what to say. They don't know
Yes.
what to say. So the women come to your practice, and you take them under your wings, and you talk
Yes.
about a lot of the stuff you just mentioned.
Yes.
Mhm.
And I do an assessment with the women because sometimes you forget what you liked,
Mm.
because you are so busy doing things together. You know
Mhm.
what you like doing together, but what did I do before I got married? What was it
Mhm.
that I enjoyed,
Mm.
And so we have to figure out, what it is that I think I help my clients to determine what it is they want to do going forward. Do
Mhm.
they have a dream? Do they have a desire? Is there something
Mm.
they want to learn? Is there something in the community they're interested in doing? So we do some assessment, and
Mhm.
then we also work with those limiting beliefs, the things in our head that tells us we can't do what we want to do, that
Mm.
you can't move forward, that
Mhm.
you can't manage the money because
Mhm.
your husband was the financier for the family, and
Mhm.
now you're in charge, and
Mhm.
your mind tells you you can't do a good job. I
Mhm.
remember I was talking to a friend of mine and her husband, and
Mhm.
I said, I can't figure out his finance system. I can't quite do it the way he did it.
You did it.
And
Mhm.
so my friend's husband said, create your own.
Hello.
Boy, light bulb went off. That's
Right,
what
light
we
bulb.
were
Right,
trying
right,
to
right.
feel.
Mhm.
I
Right,
said, so
right.
we worked through some of those things.
Okay. And you reminded me, I think I was in my 40s when my father died. And they had been
Hmm.
married 40 years or something, long, long, long time. And it
Hmm.
was all of a sudden. And I remember I went home. And I knew daddy, my mother was a career woman there, and my father worked at the post office. That was his career. And but daddy, like especially back then, a lot of the households, the father, the man took, handle the finances. And so I was living in New York at the time, and I went home, and I had great bosses where I worked because I was off work
Hmm.
for like a month, because I knew my mother was like, that was all, she was all in. That was her husband, our father. We had, they had
Yes.
three of us, three kids. And so I'm like, oh my God. And there was a book out at the time. It was called Suddenly Alone. And it talked about
Mm.
widowhood. And so I bought her that book, and I went home with her, and we walked through some stuff, finances and stuff. But she had a brilliant mind. She was a mathematician as well, of sorts. She worked with computers back in the day,
Mm-hmm.
but still all that
Wow.
was overwhelming, because here she is suddenly
Mm.
alone. And thank God she had kids.
Yes.
But that made me think of that. And there's a lot to that. But yeah, you have to find your community, and you need help, with a counselor, a therapist, psychologist, or whatever. You can't do it alone, you know?
Right. No.
Mhm.
And you
Mhm.
don't have to do it alone.
Mhm. Mhm.
Sometimes people think if you seek help,
Mhm.
that's a sign of weakness.
Mhm.
It's not. That's actually a sign of strength,
Mm.
because that's
I
the
like that.
wise thing to do.
Mm.
Let someone walk that walk with you.
Mhm.
I
I love
once was talking to um, someone, an author of a book about identity,
Mhm.
and she described my life as support on steroids,
Mm.
because I have lots of support in my life.
Mm.
I've always been the helper,
Mhm.
but there came a time when I needed the help, and my family and my friends did not let me down.
Mm.
Did not.
Mm.
And people are still calling me and offering to do things for me, whenever I have a cold or sick or whatever.
Mhm.
Can I bring you some dinner?
Oh,
If you need a ride, call me.
man. Mhm. Mhm.
So it's great.
I love that. Yes, yes. Because I have friends who've lost their husbands, and yeah, in the beginning, you really don't know what to say, but then after a while, you start offering, just being there, just being there.
Yes.
And it doesn't stop after a month or two or three.
No, it
You know,
doesn't.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and I want to move to the holidays. Of course,
Yes.
Thanksgiving is upon, the December holidays, and holidays can be tough. If
Yes.
you're alone, even if you've never been married, if you're alone, away from your family or whatever, it can be tough on a lot of people. So, but it can be extra tough after having lost a mate. So,
Yes.
so I want to talk about your upcoming um, seminar because
Yes.
it's perfect timing for the holidays. It's a free virtual seminar. It's called
Yes.
Dr. Pam. I was reading. Thank you for sending me that information. Dr. Pam Healing Hearts Seminar. So tell us about it. I love it. 5 steps to ease holiday heartache. Without giving away too much. Just tell
Yes.
what you can. Share
I'll
what you
give a
can.
little tease.
Yes, yes, yes.
I am I decided to do this because I met with a group of widows earlier in the year,
Hmm.
and I started thinking about how tough it can be during the holidays
Hmm.
when you have all those things that you did together with your husband and the family, and now he's no longer here. You know,
Hmm.
I remember one year I didn't even want a Christmas tree. I didn't want any Christmas
Oh,
decorations, and
mm,
that's my absolute favorite time of the
oh,
year.
oh.
But it was just too much,
Mhm, mhm,
to try to do all that just by myself. And
mhm,
so I decided I would do this seminar to give some information, some helpful tips
mhm,
to other widows and anyone who's lost a loved one
mhm,
about how to ease the pain
mhm,
of going through the holidays without
mhm.
your loved ones.
And
And I'm going to talk about honoring your own feelings. That's the only one I'm
mhm.
going to give away. Honor your
Ooh,
feelings because
mm,
your feelings are valid. If you're sad during the holidays, that's a valid feeling. And
mhm,
you deserve to own your feelings. Everyone
mhm,
around you may not want you to be sad, but if you're sad, you're just sad. You
mhm,
know,
mhm,
if you're not, if you don't have enough money to buy the gifts like you used to buy,
mhm,
well, then you can't do it and you shouldn't feel bad about it.
mhm,
So there
mhm.
are a lot of things that happens and you have the feelings of, should I or shouldn't I? But I'm going to talk about how you can work on those things and hopefully have a better experience during the holiday season. They're all,
Yeah. Mhm.
they had Christmas stuff up before Halloween,
Yes, they
and
did.
so
Yes, they did.
they
Yeah.
have all the things out, and Hallmark is already in full blown with the Christmas
Mhm.
stories and
Yeah.
Lifetime. I've been looking at, I love Hallmark and the Christmas stories and
Yes, yes, yes,
and
yes.
they're everywhere now, and they have guides where you know what time which one is coming on and all that stuff. And so
Mhm.
it's just a lot going on with the holidays, and I don't want other women to just feel alone, down and out.
Right.
I want to help you to be able to make it and have peace and comfort during your holidays.
I love that. I know you're going to do it. And something I love that you also mentioned about losing a mate, but losing anyone. You
Yes,
know,
losing
your
your
program can help
child.
people work through that as well.
Yes,
Mhm,
losing your parent.
mhm,
I
mhm,
was looking on Facebook today, and one of my relatives mentioned about losing her dad, and so I reached out. Please
mhm.
come to my seminar and let me help you.
Mm. And
Yes,
that, yes, because it's for men and women. Your
men
seminar.
and women.
Yes,
Yes,
I love that. And it's free. And
it's
it's free.
free.
It's a beautiful thing. Free is
Yes,
good. And you mentioned Hallmark. Let me tell you, who doesn't love Hallmark movies? We've been watching them forever. And it's the weirdest thing because I'm a Hallmark girl from way back. In the drugstores, the department, the aisles, it's kind of shrinking a little bit, but still, this was
mm,
always my decision, my barometer, I should say, when I would get a card, right? So I go in and I read the card, for Mother's Day, back
yes,
for Mother's Day, and I'm reading it. And if I start crying, I'm like, that's the card. But only Hallmark could produce that kind of those tears. I'm telling you, back in the
yes.
day, I just love them. But yeah, and every once in a while, I have my cousin. She and I would get the same card, for my mother, Valentine's Day, even though that was her aunt, we
Yes.
would pick up the same card. It was just the funniest thing because she and I like this. But anyway, thank you so much for sharing all of this. And is there anything you want to add?
Um, I just want to say, take some time for yourself.
Mhm.
Take some time to just slow down and about yourself, what you would love to be doing with your life.
Mhm. Mhm.
And if you need somebody to hold your hand while you're creating your new life, I'm the person. I can help you.
Ooh, I believe you. I know that you can. I love it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And please forgive me. You mentioned a book. Tell me about your book.
It's called Where Colors Meet, a
Mhm.
tapestry of black and white.
Mhm.
And it's about social justice.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I am a part of a group, I wear many hats. I'm a
Mhm.
part of a group of black and white women who came together when George Floyd was killed
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
try to figure out what can we do to help our society.
Mhm.
And so we
Mhm.
call ourselves cis. And so each one of us have written a chapter in the book about our life and our experiences with racism and injustice.
Wow. Okay.
And it's black and white women.
Mhm.
And so our book is now available on Amazon.
Okay. And the
And
name again is
say it again,
the name of the book again is
Where Colors Meet.
Where Colors Meet. Okay.
Yes,
I'm
a
gonna have to.
tapestry of black and white.
Oh,
And my chapter is on page 45, called
I love
Beacons of Light. And
Oh,
I will send you a picture of my book, Marquita.
please do. Please do so
I'm
we can
so
include it.
excited to be an author and to be with this group of women who are so powerful
Mhm.
in our community
Yes.
and beyond.
That's right. Your
Yes,
community. You got to have a community. And I
got to
know
have
that you're
community.
one of my stars, Delta Sigma Theta,
Yes,
yes, which is another great community. As we get older, especially as women, you have to have community.
got to have a
You have
community.
community.
Yes, we
Um,
need support.
yes, yes. So I just want to reiterate again, guys, that her webinar is this coming Monday at 6 p.m.
Yes,
Eastern.
yes,
And I'm going to put all of her information, Dr. Pam, I'm going to put your information, all of your social media in the podcast description. But I know that you are on drpamsplace.com. So if you guys
yes.
want to find out more details about this event, and tell us the name of it again.
It's called, it's a holiday heart to heart with
Hmm.
Dr. Pam,
Hmm.
and it's called Healing Hearts. And that's an acronym. And I'm going to describe that, what that acronym means during the seminar.
Ooh,
Heart.
another tease. I love teases.
Yes.
Yeah. So again, that's this coming Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern. It's virtual. Go to
Yes.
drspamsplace.com to register for free.
Yes.
All
Yes.
right. Again, we've been talking to Dr. Pamela Jackson-Smith, a certified life purpose coach. We call her Dr. Pam, and she's founder and owner of Jacksmith Coaching and Consulting. Thank you so much for sharing this wonderful information with our guests. It's inspirational and motivational information with our guests.
Thanks for having me.
Isn't she great? And wait till you really get to know her. I just love her. And don't forget to follow her. You've been listening to the Ageless Glamour Girls podcast, where we talk all things aging on this wonderful, sometimes challenging, and transformative journey. Please don't forget to subscribe to the show. Thanks in advance. Now, if you want to join the conversation and be a guest on the show, email us at info@agelessglamourgirls.com. That's info@agelessglamourgirls.com. We would love to hear from you. Also, check out our private Facebook group. It's called the Ageless Cafe. We're also on YouTube, Instagram, and other social media platforms. Now, we talked about Dr. Pam's book. Of course, I'm not going to pass an opportunity to talk about my book, or I should say, our book. It's an anthology, Ageless Glamour Girls Reflections on Aging. There are 13 of us sharing information on all of our journeys, and they're all different and so inspirational. Thanks in advance for supporting our book as well. Let's see. Oh, you know what? We're now working on volume 2 of that book, Ageless Glamour Girls Reflections on Aging. So if you have something to share, if you want to write a chapter in our next anthology, email us at info@agelessglamourgirls.com. Again, that's info@agelessglamourgirls.com. And don't forget to look out for loved ones. Check on them, especially over the holidays. Give them a call, drop by. Just don't forget them. Please, please, those ageless glamour girls, especially the older ones who have no family. And, go to a nursing home, an assisted living, and check them out. Or you might already be there, but just at least you have community there. So it's all about community as we age. Yes, community. Crucial. Crucial. All right. Again, I'm Marquita Curtis-Haynes. I am the founder and CEO of the lifestyle brand Ageless Glamour Girls, and I'm the podcast host of the same name. I love our tagline: bold, beautiful, brilliant, which is what we automatically come, or you automatically become, once you turn 50, and you're a woman. Once you turn 50. All right. Thank you so much for being with us, everybody. Keep sharing your stories with us or somewhere else. Just share your stories, because you never know who you're going to motivate or inspire. All right. Here's to healthy aging and joyful living. We'll see you again real soon, lovies. Bye-bye for now.